It really did look like epic. And I know most of you under 20s, you like use the word epic as like a precursor to fail. Which I'm sorry, let's old guys for a second. We kind of laugh because it's like the word the term epic fail came out of the Bush years. And yet was never used in conjunction with real epic fails. You know what I mean? Like, no one ever said like, oh man, like, response to Katrina, that's like an epic fail. Like, oh man, they let Osama bin Laden get away, that was an epic fail. No, it was like, dude, Jar Jar Binks is an epic fail. Alright. Well, what I saw literally reminded me of an epic in the old 1960s David Lean, like Lawrence of Arabia, Spartacus kind of movies, and that it was so huge. They literally transformed a city, and all I saw was one shot, and it was handheld, and it was a huge riot scene, and it's like Brad's family, and they're running through, they're trying to get away, and they're looking over their shoulders in terror at the camera, and it looked amazing. That's all I've seen. I mean, that literally, that shot could have said there's a sale at Penny's. I mean, so I wish I could give you more, and I'm sorry. I gave him great source material. I thought so. And I wish him luck. So, there we go. So you know what now? I'm really tired of hearing myself talk. Just to hear myself talk. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I mean, a lot of you guys came off farther than I did. So, who's going to be the first to get over their social anxiety disorder?
Oh, there we go. Big fan.
Thank you.
Actually got my first World War Z a while back at Comic-Con. They were doing advanced readers edition. Love it. I was at the audio version of Serato. Real fan about that. And I'm definitely going to get this complete edition of the audio version. It's Nathan Fillion on the site.
Of course.
My big question is, are you developing any other work, any other books, media, anything like that, based in this world right now, or?
Yeah, I think your question is, did I base things from World War Z in the real world?
Less of a question, more of a, are you doing anything new?
Now, when you say am I doing anything new, do you mean am I currently writing new material, or am I doing Spaceballs 2: The Search for More Money? All right, here's my response. Am I doing anything new? Hell yeah. No. One of the reasons that I haven't been bothered to check on what's happening with World War Z, the movie, is because I got other stresses. I got other things on my plate. One of the things is I've got a graphic novel that's coming out in about a year, and it's not zombies, and it's not even science fiction. It's a true story. It happened during the First World War, and I've been working on that story I think first in screenplay form and then graphic novel form for 13 years. Yeah, this is a story that I have worked so hard and researched so hard to try to get right, and the artwork is like 99% done, and I'm just trying to tweak the dialogue to make it historically accurate, and it's really something close to my heart. So there's that. All right. There is a short story that I wrote, I think about 2 years ago, called The Extinction Parade. And it was a zombie outbreak, but it was a zombie outbreak told from the point of view of vampires. Because it's always something I've always wondered about. Like, I've never been into vampires. Everyone's like, oh, why aren't you into one? You write about them. And the truth is, I realized the reason I've never been into vampires is because they're parasites. Like, they don't do anything. They don't produce anything. They don't invent anything. They don't fight for anything. They're fleas on the dog of humanity. They're a species of parasites. And suddenly it occurred to me, like, what would happen if these parasites, these essentially 18th century French aristocrats, were suddenly confronted with an existential threat? What would happen if suddenly the world was being consumed, their food supply was being consumed around them? and they had no experience in warfare, or government, or organizing, or innovation, or any kind of serious long-term planning. Because let's face it, we as individuals, we all are born knowing we're going to die. And every day is spent, either consciously or unconsciously, preparing for tomorrow. But if you're immortal, time is your buddy. But what happens if suddenly time turns on you? So I wanted to explore that. I wanted to get really sort of deep and weird, because that's where I go. And so we're developing that into a limited comic book series. And now that's Extinction Parade. So there's that. Then I've got, 4 projects in development over at Legendary. What happened is Legendary CEO, his name is Thomas Tull. He loved what I did on World War Z. And he calls me up every now and then and says, all right, I got the germ of an idea. And he'll like throw me out like one scene or one really basic concept. He goes, all right, now build me a world. So I'm essentially, if Legendary were a kingdom, I'd be the royal world builder. So like I go off and I build him the background. I build him the backstory, and the characters, and the science, and the politics, and the economics, and sort of everything you would need to build a franchise. And then we sort of shop around for a writer who can turn it into something. So for example, we were here a few days ago talking about something called Shadowwalker, which is a graphic novel from Legendary. Thomas Tull and I came up with the idea together. We got Mark Waid to write it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to come out next year. And something else I've got in the works, which you mentioned. Who here has heard World War Z, the abridged audiobook? All right.
Good stuff.
Wait till you hear the unabridged. Woo! Yeah, because for years people have been saying, "Oh my God, I love the audiobook. It's so great," but you cut out half the stories. When are you going to put in the next half? And so Random House finally released the money, and it is amazing. And let me preface this by saying that I'm what's called dyslexic. It's a learning disability. And it was really hard for me to read as a kid. I could not read for pleasure. So what I did was I listened to audiobooks, and that was the only way I could ingest stories. And so when it came time to do an audiobook in 2006, usually in audiobooks what a book company does is they hire one dude, and he does 100 voices. And it's cheap and easy, and it's sort of like,
"We cannot hold against NATO's artillery," said the general.
And that's what they do. And I said, let me get a real cast together. I'm going to make it like an old 1930s radio drama. Because my book kind of is an audiobook. It's a series of interviews. So let's get real people. I mean, it's the old one, the abridged, we got Alan Alda, we got Henry Rollins, we got Mark Hamill. Yeah, I know. We got Rob Reiner, we got Carl Reiner, we got John Turturro, we got Jurgen Prochnow. It was unbelievable. This time around, I can't tell you who all the time. I can tell you that Rollins came back. Thank you. I can tell you that we've got, who here has seen Battlestar Galactica 2003? Remember Callie? She's in it. Nikki Klein, she does the voice. We've got, anyone seen Star Trek Next Generation? We got Tasha Yar. We've got Bruce Boxleitner. We've got Nathan Fillion. Literally, somebody came up to me once at an event of my dad. My dad was speaking somewhere. Somebody came up to me where we're sitting and said, listen, could you autograph this? It's not for me, it's for my friend. And I was like, okay, first of all, I'm not that popular that you need to do that. Like all sign. She goes, no, it's my friend, Nathan Fillion. You mind seeing him? I'm like, oh. Really? She's like, yeah, he's a big fan, and he always wants to reach out to you, and he loves your book, and he's read it like a bunch of times, and would you sign it to him? I'm like, sure. So when it came time to Cap, I was like, please, can we find a way to get to him? And we did, and I was actually in the booth when he was recording. Oh my God. Because, I've always loved him as sort of a light-hearted guy. He sort of, to me, he's always played sort of wisecracking, light-hearted roles. For those of you who've read, who's read the book? Okay. I forget the rest. He plays the Canadian Commando. Oh. And all I had to do was give him one note. That was it. He just comes up and he's like, so what do you want from this? And he was like, just give me something. Give me an emotion. I said, guilt. I said, imagine if this were the 60s and you watched JFK in a parade, and you looked at in a window, and you saw a guy with a rifle, and you thought it was the Secret Service guarding the parade, and then you looked back to the parade, and you realized too late it was Lee Harvey Oswald. I said, that's where you're going. You witnessed one of the first outbreaks, and you convinced yourself that you didn't, because you didn't want to believe it. And he was like, and he took a minute, and he went to the booth, and oh my freaking God, it was unbelievable. So that's the kind of thing that we've got in the pipeline for the unabridged audiobook. And I reached out to everyone individually. I mean, for the example of, for our Russian priest, we got F. Murray Abraham. Yeah, I know. And like F. Murray Abraham, he don't do audiobooks a lot, okay? He's an Oscar winner, okay? And I wrote to him, and I said, Mr. Abraham, in all honesty, this audiobook may not have existed if not for you. Because I told about my dyslexia, and I said when I was a kid in 1988, my mother gave me the audiobook version of Red Storm Rising. And when I heard you read that, that showed me how amazing audiobooks can be. You set the standard that I'm trying to get to, and it would be an amazing honor if you would do it. And you did. And we ain't done. We recorded 2 more people who I can't say yet. We're going to post them. We're going to post them on the, I guess it was the World War Z Facebook page, and the Grandma's is going to post them. And what they do is they give, we actually got the idea from Nathan Fillion. He tweeted, hey, I'm going to be in World War Z. Guess who I'm going to be? So Random was like, oh, that's cool. Hey, guess who's up this week? So every week they're going to post someone. And you'll get a chance to guess who you think it is. And then I'll post something on my website about sort of what it was like to work with them and how incredibly awesome they were. Because incidentally, if you think you had an interesting life, hang out with Henry Rollins for like 5 minutes. So I hope that answers your question. What is Max Brooks doing? Max Brooks is, oh yeah, and in the meantime, I'm also trying to be a father and a husband.
Big fan.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I know you're talking a lot about World War Z, but I started with the Zombie Survival Guide. And ever since I started reading that book and passing it around to friends and talking about it, my 3 best friends in the entire world who are with me right now in super far distance to see you, we have always been tossing this question around. We are the closest of friends, we hang out all the time, but we live kind of far away, and the question that always comes up is, if a zombie outbreak happens, where are we going to meet, and what are we going to take with us? So, where are you going to meet if a zombie outbreak happens? What are you going to do?
That's two separate questions. All right, the first question I can answer in the hypothetical, the second one I can answer in the real, true, hard fact. All right, in the hypothetical is, it doesn't matter if your friends live on other sides of the country. Dude, you don't spring into action on Z-Day, okay? You have to plan for it before. That was kind of what I've been writing about since day one. Okay? So, like, you guys, put down the Call of Duty for a few hours and start talking to each other. Start being like, okay, listen, where are we going to meet? Like, before it happens, like when we start hearing rumblings on the internet, or we start seeing rumblings on CNN, where like somebody in the Chinese Ministry of Health, where they're like, Mr. Chinese Ministry of Health, we understand you have a horrible plague. No, we don't. Not the first time that we've done that. When you start to worry, you're like, okay guys, it's time to kick the plan into action, and then you meet. And what you take with you will depend on where you go. Like, for example, if you go, say, to the Arctic, you might want to bring a jacket. It will depend on your environment. All right, so that's what you need to do. Now, as far as like where I'm going, like what's my plan? Like where is like the Max Brooks Fortress of Solitude? That's a great question. Next question.